Okay. I think it's recording now.
Good. So that you can always, so anytime, you can always, can always go back to our recording and, do a review. All right. So like I said, basically, we are looking at the relational database, relational data offering. Okay. Because we know that your data are divided into three. It can be structured data, it can be unstructured, and it can be semi-structured. So when it is structured, we are sure and we are certain that it is relational. Why they call relational? Because they call relational because can you hear me? So they are called relational because
I can hear you. That's why I'm muting.
No problem. So it's better like that. So they are called relational because they have what we call modeling. That is, you can do data modeling or you can do what we call schema. So those are the two things that make them relational. So because one particular database has something in common with the other database, and then their schemas are defined, each columns are defined. So you don't want to put letters into where you have already numbers to, or you don't want to put alphanumeric where you have already defined that this should be numbers. So today we are going to be looking at relational data offering in Azure, explore provisioning and deploying of relational database, and then how to query these databases. So we're going to be looking at how to query these databases. So I think last time we just do a quick review. So here, so what are the Azure data services? Okay, what are the services that are available that is speaking to database, data, and data analytics? Okay, so at least for the first level, we call SQL Server on virtual machine. I think I tried to explain this. Okay. Okay. Then we also have what we call Azure SQL Managed Instance. All right. Then we also have what we call Azure SQL Database. So looking at my own handwriting, the diagrams in red, I've already explained it that when you have when you run an on-prem server, that is, you're already having an organization that is running their server, they are running their database by themselves. But they don't want to continue, their on-prem activities, and they feel, okay, let's move into cloud. Then let's move into Azure. Okay, so they keep asking Azure that, oh, wait, the way we have it on our, can we get the same offering? That's why we call data offers. Can we get the same offering on your cloud? And then Azure is like, oh, no problem. Microsoft is like, okay, no problem. Same offering. So which means that you have a physical machine that you put your SQL Server. Don't worry, we already have it here too. So the major thing that happens here is what we call Okay, so they now begin to look for what we call lift and shift. Okay, lift and shift. And like I said, perfectly just the way their physical environment is. That is how Azure or the cloud can offer them perfectly. No addition, no subtraction. So it is called lift and shift. So they can emulate their physical environment and then put it on cloud. Okay, they just migrate. It's called migration. They just migrate their physical components, the physical services, and migrate it to Azure. So one of the offerings that they can use is what we call SQL Server on virtual machine. Okay, but basically, like I said, it is more of administrative work. So that means it must be an administrator on ground that would know how to configure, do a lot of work for this kind of data services. So, like you said, like you can see, it's best for rehosting apps requiring OS level access and control. So automated manageability features and OS level. So now it's under infrastructure as a service. So we already know what our infrastructure as a service is. So which means here Microsoft only manages the infrastructure, which is your networking, your storage, and your computing. Okay, and then you just bring your server, SQL Server, and then you put it there. So, and that's one. Then two, then you are looking at Azure SQL Managed Instance. So best for modernizing existing apps. Okay, so offer high compatibility with SQL Server with native VNet support. All right. So what is the main difference between SQL Managed Instance and virtual machine? Now, number one, managed instance is on platform as a service. So which means that part of what can be gotten can also be they can duplicate what is on premises on managed instance too. They can duplicate it, but it's just that for this one you only pay for what you use, and then you don't have any administrative right at all. There's no administrative right at all in this one. So the last one, which is the most common one, this one is, of course, the opportunity that this one prefer is that is pre-provisioned, it is serverless, it has a serverless compute and upper scale storage to meet demanding workload. So what do you mean by serverless? What do you mean by serverless? Serverless means that you don't even have the ability to know where the server is. You understand? You don't have the ability to know. Because here, you already have, now they bring your server. Here, you are bringing your own server. Here, Microsoft is giving you your server. Okay? Here, you are not even seeing the server at all. You are not seeing the server at all. So, all you need to do is just upload your database and start configuring and do whatever you want to do and go your way. Okay? But you see that still some organizations, they want to control everything they want, everything they have. They want to make sure that they still give access to some other administrators. They still want to replicate the way their environment, their physical environments were. So they will go for something like this. Okay. So, like I said,
what kind of organizations will use Azure SQL database? Because looking at it from many organizations that are migrating from their normal on-prem to this thing, of course, they have administrators, they have people that are admin rights, they have people that are probably different departments that you restrict the kind of access you have to some data. I don't know.
you're right.
Do you understand? So
You are right.
why will an organization that has that established want to now move to
Azure SQL database that be this third one.
So because if you have this, do you really need those that have admin rights or
Yes, I like your question. That is why we call it offerings as different products for different folks. Do you understand? So if you are the one that will be calling shots for your own organization, for example, you know your own organizational policies, you know what your organization wants, and you know what is right for your organization. So if Azure is bringing these three offerings and it's not meeting your need, definitely you're not going to use Azure. You can use AWS, you can use other providers depending on if they meet your need.
So
But
you think that there are some offerings that Azure has that Azure doesn't have that AWS have?
yes, of course. There are different companies now. Of course. So, but basically, one of the advantage that Microsoft has over other people is that, before, Microsoft have always been producing product softwares that are enterprise, that companies use. You can't do without them. So that is why they are positioning themselves with most of their cloud products to fit into organizations and enterprise use. So they know what enterprises want. So they know now, for example, to answer the question you asked, like, okay, let's say you are working with a bank that already has an established, they have their own data center, they have their own data, you understand what I mean? But they decide they want to move, probably because of cost and, scalability, and you understand, they want to move. They can decide everything they are doing on their physical data center. This one can offer them. This one can offer them. Why? They can scale to, they can do what we call VVMS, which is VVMS is VMSS rather. What's the name of this? What's the name? It helps you to scale. Okay, VMSS helps you to scale. Yes, virtual machine skill set. VMSS. Do you understand? It helps you to scale. So, for example, you work in a bank and then their data centers, they of course, they will have large data center. They will need SQL Server. They will need storage and all of those stuff. So they can scale. You understand? Scale in the sense that, let's say it's a Nigerian setting, so to say, because I know Nigerian setting very well. They can scale in the sense that when they deploy this kind of virtual machine, the guys that are already working with them from the normal on-prem, we only need to do minimal training to know how to use the Azure environment. They don't need, you understand, just to log in, give them the access and say, okay, this is how this one looks like. So they don't need to know much. All they need to do is to sign into Azure. Do you understand the way? Remember how you sign into Azure and you deploy your VM, that's all. Everything they want to do is on a particular virtual machine, even in the data center. So the difference now is that they are not seeing the physical components. Okay, everything has been migrated to cloud where they just need to log in and then do the same thing that they are doing. The people that they won't have job again are their networking guys. You understand? Because now the whole of networking, the whole of storage, the whole of computing, and then have been given to Microsoft.
Yeah.
I'm telling you about this. Okay. So those guys that they call networking guys, those guys that they call all these guys that comes and anytime there's a maybe one part of computer is bad, these guys don't manage our system engineers those ones, there's nothing for them to come and do again. Do you understand? So but the IT guys who are administrators, who are the database, whatever that are on ground that are working on, that environment is still the same environment they are going to be working on. You understand? So it's like, remember when you deploy a virtual machine, if you remember when we were doing it here, your virtual machine is exactly like your own computer. Once you open it, it's like, this is Windows 10 now. I know how to find around Windows 10. You know what I mean? So you can begin to install exact thing that is on your physical machine to that virtual machine. And then you continue your work. All you need to do is sign into your Azure and then deploy your VM and then you go your way. You don't need to carry laptop, carry physical component anywhere. Anywhere you get to, you just log in and then you understand what I'm trying to say. So what this first one has done is to emulate those companies that doesn't want to change their environment. Okay, they don't want to because there are a lot of organizational policies, there's a lot of stuff. So this one will help you to, it will just lift and shift. Lift and shift.
Okay. Let me now, sorry, answer another question. With this Azure environment now, do companies still now need to be giving you a laptop if you want to work from home, where you're not using VPN to log on their distance, or you can just use your laptops and do whatever you want to do, since the environment is on cloud?
Okay, it's two things. It's two things.
Do you understand what I mean?
I do. That's why I said these two things. And I would like to show you because I like the way you ask questions and it's stimulating. So let me go to Portal. So that you can have basic understanding of your question. Do you remember? I know that in one of your classes, Amos must have taught you what we call Active Directory domain. Remember? Hello, sir.
I'm with you.
I was asking you that in one of your classes, that Mr. Amos will have mentioned something we call Active Directory domain.
Maybe
you guys ready?
in context.
Sir?
Maybe you put it in another context. I can't remember. Maybe I remember. I can't be.
You remember? Look at this. When he was talking about you need to promote your server, you need to give it one domain name. Remember?
Okay, yeah.
Because I know he mentioned something like that in one of his training. Why he was okay. So every organization has what we call Active Directory. Okay. For example, your Active Directory is just like your normal domain name. Let's say southall.com and all of that. So everything under southall.com will come into what we call Active Directory on the normal server in a company or in an organization on a normal. So there's this database feature called Active Directory. So what it does is that it controls all the users and laptops and device. Let me just say device, not laptop, device. You get? But in as much as you can do that physically, now it's now better on Azure. Why? So there's another feature entirely called Azure Active Directory that controls virtually anything that is in that domain. Okay, so that domain means that if I look at this name now, this is Naya Okudu at Outlook. That's the name of domain. Let's say it's my company name or your company called southall.com. Do you understand? Everything under your company have to be here. So in this place, you can add more tenants, you can add more subscription and so many other things that you can do. This Azure AD domain services helps you to join your physical domain, that physical domain that is on premises here.
Yeah.
This thing helps you to join it to your Azure. This thing you are looking at here. Okay. Now, because it's your company, now then you have what we call staffs, Abi. Your staffs automatically becomes your user, Abi. You get your user. And don't forget, you might be running a kind of consulting company, or you can be running a kind of consortium, or your business can be so organized in a way that you have external vendors, people that work with you, but they are not a member of your company. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So when you want to add those ones, you add them as a guest user.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
So which means that, oh, your company is Microsoft, okay, but I'm working with Accenture. So Accenture deals with the financial aspect of whatever Microsoft is doing. Oh, the company is Microsoft, but I'm working with tech experts. Tech experts handles all the support system for Microsoft. You are working with Microsoft, but my company is Mindtree. What does Mindtree does? Mindtree handles all the security, cyber security for Microsoft. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So if I'm working for Mindtree, but I need to, the work that Mindtree is saying I should do is on Microsoft domain. You understand? As a company. So Microsoft will give me access now to do my work now.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm trying to say? Hey. So Microsoft will say, oh, Dotun, who is coming from a third party company, to come and work for me, or to come and do something for me, or as a vendor, or whatever, or as a partner, is a guest. You understand? So as a guest, they will also give me what we call a role. Okay? I'm still trying to answer your question now. They give me what we call a role. The role will be that, oh, this is what you are coming to do. So I can't go beyond what they ask me to do. So it's the Active Directory domain that is controlling all of those things. Okay? So here you can add your staffs as new users. You can have your new guest user, maybe somebody that is working with another company like a supplier to you, but they need to enter your domain to work.
Or an auditor or a regulator.
Thank you. You understand? You must give them access, but it will be a restricted access. For example, the access they have can just be maybe on this machine alone. There's this machine, there's another machine, there's another machine. But so another person will have access. You might have access to all these machines and not any other one. Do you understand? So let's say for auditor, so you work with Microsoft, and then the auditing firm is PwC or which other, maybe KPMG, all these big companies. And this is the machine that they use in account department. This is where everything they want to do is on. Why would kí ló fẹ́ lọ máa ṣe lórí machine tó ti ń ṣe DevOps or tí development and pounds developers ń ṣiṣẹ́? They don't need to be there. They don't need to have access. You understand? Or kí ló fẹ́ lọ wá ní àwọn people that are programmers that are writing code. We are talking about Microsoft here, okay? Or people that are doing cybersecurity for Microsoft. So what they need yẹn lè máa fún wọn. So these Azure can micromanage anything. I'm telling you, micromanage to the point that if I give you access to this Azure, you will think you have access. My dear brother, you only have access to one resource, as simple as one machine. As simple, in fact, you can't delete it, you can't do anything than that thing that I said you should come and do. That's the only thing you can do on it. Do you understand? So now you can now have what we call, of course, you can have what we call from your users. If I click on users, you can have what we call your group. Okay. User settings. This is something I'm going to. There's one aspect I just want to show you. Okay. Okay, so here you have your users. If you look at it, you have group. You can see groups are. Yeah. So your group is like your department. You understand? Like, of course, you are grouping people together. So which means all these people in that department, whatever policy, all of them can have access to just one machine or one extra machine. And then they will have an administrator for that group. You have like a leader, you understand, that you choose, or like a manager, somebody that. So all of these things are here. Then this is where I'm actually going. I was just trying to show you what your Active Directory can do. So your Active Directory can deal with users, can deal with groups, can deal with external identity. Look at what we call it. We call them external identity. So who are the external identity? So these are people that are also not, they are collaborating with you. Okay. So set up how you want to collaborate. You understand? So people that are external identity is a set of abilities that enable organization to secure and manage external users, including customers, partners beyond the organizational boundary. So you can see now. So this also helps you. It groups them together and it puts some measure on them. Okay. So let me still go back. Okay, we have your administrative unit. Then let me go to enterprise application so that you get what I'm trying to say. So enterprise application means that your company can have their own app, their own legacy app, not necessarily the one from Azure. Azure is just a platform for you to do your things. But as a bank, bank would have some.
Yeah.
They will have some. They call it legacy app. Only if you can see this word, they call legacy app. Those apps are custom built, for themselves. So they want to continue using that app or those applications in order to make their own better. So they must register those apps. I guess what I'm saying. They must register it on Azure so that Azure will now see it as an object. We see it as an entity and say, okay, now this your app. I know you own it. Who are the people you want to have? And will ever come access in your app. Do you understand? You now begin to say, okay, I will ever come administrate the app. I will ever come manage the app. Do you understand? So this is where you set up all those ones. Okay. You can also do application proxy, where application proxy means that okay, you don't like when you are redirecting. When you are redirecting, just do something else like that. Okay, so let me go back to default. So I've spoken about enterprise application. Now, this is where we are going. That seems to answer your question. See, device. Can you see device? Because that's where your question stemmed from. So, what does device do? This one register every device. So there are two ways of registering device. Is either they are domain joint or registered joint. That's the technical word they use in Azure. Domain joint or registered. Domain joint means that it is owned by the company. You understand? So which means the company that hired you knows that you want to work from home, bought you a laptop, or bought you a phone, or bought you a tablet, which is a device, and then they will join it to their domain. So everything, so in that device, that is what we call point to site. Are you guys what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That device is like a point, like a dot, connected to a big building, like a site. Again, scope here. So this your Azure now will not be like a site somewhere residing where your office is in the cloud. But your mobile device like your laptop and phone are going everywhere. But there must be a secure channel that will help in communicating with your device and this particular thing. Okay. So now this place is the one that manages all the device. So if I click here now, we can begin to add device. Can you see the name of the device? Is the device enabled? What's the operating system of the device? What's the version? What joint type it is? What joint type? I was talking about joint type.
Yeah. This part, if they register a laptop that they give to you, if the company gives you a laptop, it will register their bill. So it means that even though cloud is cloud, if you try to access your workstation via another system, you won't be able to log in. Is that what it means?
Please, yes. Can you state that again? So that
now, I said you register a device, probably the laptop that they've given to you to work with.
No, there are two things. So when you say registered, it is not owned by the organization. It is you but because you need to work with and they register you. But domain
No,
joined
what I mean is this. Okay, the laptop they are going to give to you now
is domain joined, which
is domain joined.
belongs to the organization already.
It belongs to, that's what I'm saying. So they add this is where they add the device, Abi.
Yes.
Now, what I'm saying is that you can only log on to your work on Azure through that laptop. Is that what it means? Or you can go, I can come to your house with your laptop and still be able to work.
You won't be able to work because there's what we call a lot of MFM, multi-factor authentication. Multi-factor authentication. So part of the authentication is that these features here will have identified your device as an object. What is about if ID object? So you can see. Can you see what where they wrote device ID or object ID? So you understand? It's like at the very kí lorúkọ ẹ, ìyẹn ní Adédọ̀tun. Okay. Ọmọ ta ni ẹ ológun. Okay, one ball ní Adédọ̀tun ni ẹ. Oh, so mọ ọmọ tó jẹ́. You understand what I'm trying to say? So because it is domain joined, I'm asking that question, is domain joined. So which means that because it's domain joined, they will make sure that that security is tight. That security is tight. That device is already registered, and the policy they would give is that anything coming into our domain must be identified. They must identify this based on their ID given to it or the object ID given to it.
So it's not only username and password is to recognize, it's both your device.
That is why it's called multi-factor authentication. Multiple. You understand? Multiple. In fact, where I work, there's an access card. My name is printed on it with Microsoft logo. When I'm about to work, I must put that access card into one. There's this device. You know, it's part of the keyboard shop. Without that access card, without the keyboard sensing that card, we call it RAS card. RAS card means remote access, something. But the remote is that, this particular login is coming from remote. It's not within the organization. Shall you understand? Because we are working in Nigeria. So it's remote access. Now, is that card, if that card is not put into the device, any device, for example, Microsoft, that's the share láti lè báyìí sí. Tí máa lọ sí Microsoft nsìn. I say, let's say I want to sign into let's say Outlook. So I can understand what I'm trying to say in picture. So this is this person Outlook. Okay.
So you understand? If you want to sign in now, we ask for another factor authentication.
Exactly. I just want to show that. So let's say I'm signing this person out. So I now want to sign in. So typical of an organization and how Azure works and what we call Active Directory domain, how it works. Okay. So each they represent an Active Directory domain, as in they are coming from a particular Active Directory domain. You get. So if I now say, okay, so use v dash a logo at Microsoft. So this is my email, official mail from Microsoft. So now use this. So see what it's saying, because it is a domain name. Now he's asking question. Now, do you remember what I just said now? Can you see this? Huh?
Yes.
Now the Active Directory is the one from the physical. She get like physical company, like, oh, we have a building, we are doing our work in this building. So in our building, we have an IT, we have a server room, then we have an IT, then in our IT, we have what we call an Active Directory. She logo be work at So an Active Directory. She understand? So that's the physical component. But most company now has joined both their Active Directory and their Azure together. So if I pick any one now, it will go. I get.
Yeah.
Because it's Microsoft. But that's not the point I'm trying to prove to you. The point I'm trying to put to you is now the multi-factor authentication. So if I decide to say, okay, go through Azure Active Directory, because it can go through any one of it. Now, sharing got to
Okay.
So he's saying authentication options. So I should put my password.
So for example, if you put your password now, it will go, Abby.
So he's saying number one, either I should put my password or I should sign in with a PIN that is attached to smart card. Smart card in the RAS. Yeah. But one more, people brew day what is she organizational policy? If you passport 10 times, any jotoriolo if you pin a RAS card, yes.
Okay.
Again, you know my card is here. So which means that I must look for another physical device that will attach that card, that smart card, so that you can read that, oh, that smart card is attached to my device. That's another level of authentication. So when I finish working, I must remove that smart card.
That's fine. No worries.
So it's just for you, because for you to see how, so which means that this device, they decide not to join, because they decide not to join this device, as in this my physical device, to their domain. This is their domain, Microsoft.com. I guess what I'm saying. So the device I'm using at work, which is their workstation, that physical device, which is that physical laptop or computer that I'm using at work, they decided not to join that physical computer to their domain. Why? Anytime you want to enter their domain, they must verify you multiple times. In fact, after I now put the card, the pin to this card, it will now bring the another option of token or calling of your phone number. I'm not going. You understand what I'm trying to say? So they want to be sure that when you are entering into their domain, you are the one.
You must be a staff.
Like you are the one, as in this person here. As in this person here. So you understand? So they will make sure. In fact, if you talk to Shady physical card, the card look like an ATM. Our names are printed with logos and all of that. They now make sure that this card, if I click on this card now, okay, now because card, you understand? I'm supposed to plug something that will be able to read that card. So you can't read that card. You understand? But I will read card expiring date card every other information. She understand? Oh my be expiring date card. So which means that the card is just 1 year access. After 1 year, you must now go and renew it. So they are doing it such a way that you don't just more for you to say you are entering to our domain, you are the one. Understand? Because of course, gone are the days where physically we can say, oh, this person that an employee happy. So you come into the building, we know you. You understand? Or you by putting on an ID card, which is an access card. You understand? But now the world is decentralized. So everywhere, anybody can work remotely. So, but they must also put some systems of security into place that must make sure that it is you. You understand? So,
okay. I think that's right. Let's move on. So,
okay, so so I think I've explained all those the device settings. Okay, let me just check all of the things that device settings. So here now, users may join device to Azure AD. So here you can select people that can join devices to Azure AD. Okay, users may register their device with Azure AD. So this is the question you are asking now. You can see there's a word called join. These are domain join. This one is domain register. Register means that, oh, I'm a visitor to the company. You understand? Or I'm a vendor. You understand? But I need to be working from home. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
But this is the device I'm going to be using. So that device must be given an object ID in my domain. Okay, fine. I agree that you are going to be accessing my domain remotely anywhere you are. But I must know the device. So you can't come again and say, I'm sorry, I'm using somebody. You understand what I'm trying to say? So if not, consult your administrator. No matter. So you see now, it said require multi-factor authentication to register or join device domain and all of that. So there's a lot. So maximum number of device per user, depending on, just depending on whatever. This one is more of administrative work.
Yes. I know.
You get. So just for you to understand that aspect. Okay, so let me. Okay, so I think we are done with this. Okay, so SQL Server on Azure Virtual Machine. So for example, so for SQL Server on VM, so what would be their problem, challenges? Why would the customer want to pick this particular option? So you might say, oh, as a customer, oh, I want to migrate to the cloud, but it's as fast as possible. And I still maintain my operating system control. I told you, it's about control. It's about, doing what you want. The way we are doing it, we want to continue doing it. We don't want any major shifts into our work production environment. We want it to say, don't worry, we are here for you. And then what Azure will do is what we call Azure Migrate. Azure will just lift those machines, those versions. We just lift them the way they are, come and dump them. You understand? And then those people can continue their work. So solution, get the combined performance, security, and analytics of SQL Server backed by flexibility, security, and all that. Hybrid connectivity to Azure. So the beautiful thing is that about this. The beautiful things about this, about Azure SQL Server on VM, is that it can give you what we call hybrid connectivity. Hybrid in the sense that using what we call AD Connect, the Active Directory domain, you can join your physical component to your Azure component. So everybody can be working, some can be working on physical component while others are working on. So it's a good thing. So key features: SQL Server on OS serves access, expansive SQL and OS version, window. You can get this on Windows, you can get it on Linux, you can even come with containers. Okay, file streaming. Okay. So SQL Server on Azure VM Deployment. All right. So deployment choices. Okay, resource provider, sizes and storage performance, networking and security. So this one doesn't really have much. Okay, so we are trying to look at the relationship between the IaaS and the PaaS. Okay, so why taking advantage of this thing? So it helps you with business continuity. Because when you are on the PaaS level, platform and service, your VM, your database server will never go down. Even if you go down, it will be once in a year.
Okay.
Yes, it won't go down because you're not the one managing. You're not the one managing the infrastructures. Okay, so because if you are managing infrastructure, something can happen to your own data center. You get, but nevertheless, it does not mean no system is perfect. No system runs 100%. We all know that.
Yeah.
But it helps what we call business continuity. So you can do your business anytime you want to do your business. You can shut down business anytime you want to shut down business. You get, and why you shut down business, you are not incurring debts.
True.
Because there's some VM that need to actually go down while you are closing the day off. So you don't need to be incurring debt on them. High availability. High availability means that 24, 20, 23 hours, 15 minutes is available out of 24 hours. You know what I mean? Like, even if it's going to go down, you are going to experience downtime in a day. It might just be less than 10 minutes or 8 minutes. Before you say, what's wrong with this thing? It's back up again. Do you get? Before you say, what's wrong with this thing? It's back up and working again. Okay. So what else does it provide? Automated backups. So when you're looking at automated backups, you're looking at, of course, your normal backup from what you are doing. Then you can also decide that I want to do what we call geo-replications, which means that if you deploy your data, your SQL Server in East US, you can decide to go and back up in West US. Even if the whole data center goes down in the East US, back door in another country. Yeah. So you can do it in such a way that it is automated, which means you don't have to be going there every day to say, okay, I'm doing backup, I'm touching backup. You can automate it. So say, for example, by 1 p.m. every night, be backing up. So just go, just like the way we we offer our VMs. We put on our VM now. And we say, okay, by 11, off them. Even if you forget, by 11, it will go off by itself. You open it, you put on tomorrow again. You forget, say by 11, the thing will go off itself. So that's automated.
Yeah.
Okay, long-term backup retention. Okay, you're looking at long-term backup retention. Of course, you're looking at 5 years. You're looking at 10 years. So Azure is trying to also provide that kind of service. Okay, I've explained your replications whereby you are already in East US and you want to copy your data somewhere in China or somewhere in Europe. Okay, so then another thing it offers you is scale. Of course, I've explained what scale means. Scaling, you can scale out, you can scale up, you can scale up, you can scale out, you can scale in, you can scale out. So you can scale up, you can scale down, you can scale in, you can scale out. Okay. So whichever direction you look at, you can increase your instances, you can increase that, one of the questions you used to ask that time, this SQL Server is slow. You need to increase this thing. You know what to increase. You scale it, you scale out. You scaling. If you know that, okay, we don't have much people using it. You scaling. You don't need to incur debt. Of course, advanced security. I also is always working on security aspect of his work to make sure that everything is on top. Then something on monitoring, then something on intelligence. Okay. So now there's another one, Azure SQL database. So a customer comes to you and says, I want to build a modern app, potentially multi-tenanted with the highest uptime and predictable performance. Okay. So what is the customer trying to say? Okay, I want to build a banking app whereby everybody will be doing, or a kind of fintech kind of app whereby we will be making transactions. And I don't want my app to go down one bit. That's what they are trying to say. Okay. So if you don't want the app to go down, oh fine. There is one we have an SLA for 99.99. Look at this one. SLA. SLA means service level agreement.
I know.
So for that, it's telling you that almost like 99% of the time, it's going to be an up. So if something's going to be up, then it might not be in your own care. So Microsoft will handle it. They will make sure that the data is not going down. Yeah, this is not going down. Everything is working perfectly the way they ought to, so that you can also host your website, host your app, and make your money. Okay, so they are offering a solution called Azure SQL Database. There is a high scalable cloud database services with built-in high availability and machine learning. They have explained high availability to us. They are just available everywhere. Most of the time. So now, Azure SQL Database services. So you can have different tiers. One can be general purpose, other can be business critical. The other one is hyper scale. So for general purpose is most businesses now. For example, we are starting what we call startups. That's what most startups will go for. See the money. The money is just $1. Okay. Compared to this. So what I'm trying to say is that you pay less when you use this. Okay. And it's more of serverless. Why? You don't get to see the server, you don't get to, but you can't compare it with business critical. Okay. So what are we talking about now? Now look at it. We are talking about volumes here. Volumes. You can't be generating data of 1 gig. I'll be comparing yourself with someone generating data of 10 terabytes. It's possible now. Yeah. So the person generating data of 10 terabytes, we need capacity. Something like, okay, when we make query into your database, it will not waste our time. Okay, it will not waste our time. It must load faster. So that's why I'm saying, even for business critical, I say workload that require low latency. Okay, what is low latency? They used to use this word a lot in this IT space. Okay, low latency means delay. Latency means delay. So low latency means that minimal delay. Okay, minimal delay. Oh, we want to come out and get this thing done. We want our query to be as fast as possible. Okay, but if you want that, you pay more because you have to deploy some machines that are powerful for you. Business critical in the sense that, for example, you are Jumia, and as a Jumia is making money, and you want to ask now, okay, where are you making this your money? You know, I explain to you. So which means that the kind of applications that Jumia will want to use here now can be something of critical. You can't use general purpose because you don't know how people that enter Jumia every day. You understand? So they will have migrated in the sense that they would have make sure that things work well. So here now, most of the operations are stored up in memory for them. Okay. Why? It's better they have what we call in-memory. It's like a temporary memory. They're like temporary memory. So this one we just quickly cache the information and then make it more readable, make it more faster. So the third type is the hyperscale. This one, It's company like IBM, company like what's the name of this company? This DHL kind of company. A company like DHL. Netflix, exactly. Thank you. Of course, you know the reason why Netflix want to have a high workload with high scalable storage. Read scalable requirement. Why? Because you need storage that are even, like I said, that day I was showing you different type of VM size. There are VM sizes that are storage optimized. They favor storage than memory. There are ones that are memory optimized. There are ones that are performance optimized, which is compute optimized. So that's to that. So what would be the challenge here? So a customer can say, "Oh, I want to migrate to cloud," and then remove management overhead. But I need instance scope features such as brokerage. So in this case, what do? You recommend manage instance combine, leading security features with SQL Server capability, business model design for an on-prem customer. Okay, so key features, single instance or instance. So basically, we just recognize the Azure database, manage instance for this one. Why? They just want something that they can manage. So yeah, basically you discover that you cannot deploy your managed instance for your hyperscale because for your Azure SQL database, you can deploy hyperscale. But for your managed instance, you can't deploy hyperscale. See, look at it there. Okay. Why? They are not built to work at that level. Okay. So SQL managed instance of DB. So we have what we call single instance, we have instance pool. So in your single instance, SQL Server surface area, SQL Server surface area, which is the vast majority native virtual network support, fully managed services. So for an instant pool, preposition complete resources for migration, enable cost. Then we have Azure SQL database. So this one is a single database with an hyperscale storage up to 100 terabytes. So if I go back, you can see there are an option in hyperscale. Hyperscale means that they can change at any time. In fact, change and scale to a high level that is, you can scale just like what this place is saying. Just like what this place is saying. See, you can scale and have up to like 100 terabytes. Serverless compute, which means okay, you're not seeing the infrastructures and all of that. Okay, so that's that. Then we have PostgreSQL Server, Maria database, and MySQL. So there are other type of server apart from SQL Server. Okay, so all these ones too, they are not owned by Microsoft too. So Microsoft has created, Microsoft created an app for them, like a marketplace something. Like, okay, can I also use my MySQL on Azure? Yes, you can use it. Can I use my Maria database? Yes, you can use it. Can I use the most? Yes. So they also have those offerings too, based on their discussion.
So and these are like different types of database.
That is different from the T-SQL.
Yeah, okay.
The T-SQL is one built by Microsoft.
Microsoft, yeah.
So this particular one, all these ones are other type of data, common type of data that, of course, people are used to. don't forget, we are looking at the offerings.
Yes, I know.
So in my organization, we use MySQL. You're not saying I should come to Azure. Azure that is Microsoft. Does Microsoft own MySQL? No, now. Well, Microsoft have thought ahead and say, okay, we know that people does not only use our own product. There are other products that they use. Can we make it so available? Can we make it so available to them?
I understand. Like I used to, let's say, Apple phone, but you're also making Samsung, Huawei, all those available, Abi, which is another type of phone.
Yes.
I understand.
Okay, all right. So what are the benefits of Azure database for MySQL, Postgre, and Debian? So those three databases engine, what are the benefits? So one, you can also get what we call a full managed community database. You can get what we call built-in high availability for lowest TCO. You can have what we call intelligent performance and scale. You can have what we call industry-leading security and compliance, or integration with the Azure ecosystem. So these are the benefits. So take advantage of full managed service while still using the pool, the tools and language you are familiar with. Okay. So those are the things you can get. Built-in high availability for lower TCO cost. Total cost.
I'm sorry to tip in this one. I want to suggest something. I think it's better we focus now on Azure.
Okay.
Finish Azure before one can probably move to AWS, because mixing the two for me is kind of I'm getting used to wanting to understand this one, but mixing it maybe 3 days this one, 2 days AWS. I feel I will be more comfortable if you just finish one first before we do the other one.
The reason being that the guy taking us AWS, he doesn't have that time like that. So he has to squeeze out those 2 days. If
And
not, and I don't want that.
Then in that case, I don't like I think he knows what he's doing. He's good, but his pattern of teaching, I'm not comfortable with it. Like I said, see, for example, now you have it's always very important in every training. You don't just come and say, sign on to this one, sign on to Excel, go to this. No. If I you want to be showing anybody, you should be the one signing on to whatever you want to sign on to and be working on it. But before we start the class, we should be able to know what we are going to do. What we plan to do, like an outline, is very, very important. For training, you can't just come and be bringing stuff. Yeah, you sign on to this and that. What are we going to do today? This is the purpose of today's class. This is what we're going to do. So at least that one will make one sink into your plan for the day. Then you now start. If you don't want to show, you should be the one sharing your screen based on your outline for today and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is how to do it. Rather than saying, yeah, we are this one sign on, that one sign on, go to this. You don't learn like that. It's not a productive way of teaching and learning. So you understand? I've not seen any form of class or tutorial that they will just come. You're not doing it as if you're just helping someone. One is paying for it now, obviously. So I've gone for training here. You have to just imagine, if don't you go for training in Microsoft, don't they train you? Maybe they train you guys.
Of course.
Yeah, so when they come, whoever is training you, whether it's Zoom or whatever, maybe they'll come with their presentation slide. This and this is what you're going to do. Show you what you're going to talk about. They'll probably be the one to sign on to do what they want to do. They won't just tell you that, okay, you have training today in Microsoft. Yeah, all of you sign on to your VM, go to this one. No, it's not done like that. That's not how to do training. Even though you know what you're going to do, you have to structure it in a professional manner. Do you understand? So maybe you have to change this changing pattern.
So what are you suggesting now?
Yeah, what I'm suggesting that before he comes, you have like an outline of what he wants to teach us. For teaching me, because I'm sure Funke Bob at school and others might not be able to join. now.
She said she might even to join this match.
It's not easy at all.
I know, I understand. See, that's why in fact, with my own teaching too, I'm trying to make sure that I even there's anything I love about you is that the way you ask questions, it makes it easier, makes it more interactive. So whatever that is what you need to know, it helps me to go deeper. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Like showing you deeper, so it helps me. Do you understand? So I think you are still one of the best person I've ever taught. You know, you help me to go deeper, just at the same time you can come back again, you can see. So that at the end of the day, it widens one horizon and you get. So I will try and because I don't want to take the AWS. It's not like I cannot take the AWS, but I feel okay.
Honestly, even see, you can't be jack of all trades. You have to specialize in one. Maybe just to understand maybe some part, just little understanding. It is the data aspect I'm interested in.
Yeah. Okay, so you know one thing. I'm happy that you are not complaining about my own teaching. You are gaining a lot. So for the sake of knowledge, I will beg you, for the sake of knowledge, whatever is asking you to do on AWS, just do. So you understand? For your data analytics, from the beginning to the end, this day, like I told you, Azure Data Lakes, Azure Synapses, the storage, everything, and it will be hands-on. It will be hands-on. So you understand? And the reason why I'm doing this is that by the time I begin to deploy SQL Server and Azure Synapses, they are on pass. So which means they will keep charging us. So you understand? So it will better clear. And I was like, okay, we now want to jump into this particular case. We now begin to know that okay, once the Tabasi deploy, we know okay, we are paying heavily. At least I've shown you how this guy charges us. You understand? So I'm very smart about it. In fact, today my manager was begging me. I sit beside my manager. He was begging me today, doctor, please come and help me remove this. Come and help me remove that. They've taken his $150. He was just complaining. The manager need some, you understand, some benefit. Do you understand? But they are managers. Doesn't mean they are technical engineers. Do you understand? Because they can hire you as just come and manage people. Who study psychology, just come and manage people. Do you understand? It's different from okay, these are our engineers that are well trained. So I was like, okay, I have to start showing him, spend the whole day solving that problem for him. So you never worry. I have my dream, my vision for you, and I've communicated it. You understand?
Yeah, then that's what you apply to for that AWS you call my management. What is the end? What am I supposed to know at the end of the day? What this is am I supposed to do? As of now, I don't really have that clear understanding.
As well, for AWS, what I feel is more important is that you are familiar with the environment. You understand? You are familiar with the environment. Now you can create your account, you can deploy some instances, do you understand? You are familiar with the environment. Get why? The reason being that at the end of the day, for you.
No, let me tell you, in this place, all you don't even need to if you Azure that you are okay with it too. If it's AWS, it's not it share Azure budget. The AWS no is anyone that you see if it is not.
You understand?
So I'm comfortable knowing one, and they just it's not like Nigeria that you if you go and type job for data analyst and you put your Azure this even on your LinkedIn alone, automatically you
are right. Even up to yesterday, some Indian guys are still after me. They still asking how much do you want us to offer you and all of that. You know, so I understand that okay,
so
the power of digging deeper.
Matters. So in this kind of place, is not scarcity of not bad if you know. Me say I don't want to know not that me because if I find myself working in Azure environment now, I won't need AWS. So what am I doing? What am I business with AWS? So you understand?
Okay.
So it's
so
it's not like maybe the data aspect, but at the end of the day, you are going to leave one and forget one and be using the other one. And for me, I would rather, because I'm used to SQL, I'm used to what's it called, Power BI. I would even prefer to know more about.
So that's okay. So what will happen now is let's focus more on this.
Yes.
Let's focus more. So now, because we have a long way to go. Number one, the Power BI alone. Power BI alone. Power BI are just synapses that will help you know everything you want. But I just love the fact that every offering they are on Azure. So anywhere they are coming from, and share online.
Yes, man. Azure alone to for you to see.
No, sincerely. Because one of the things I discover in my own company is that people, of course, people tend to focus more on remote job, foreign job. You know, I just look at them, I smile. I'm like, you guys, you are not developing yourself. You are just focusing on. You understand what I mean? Like, well, I know we are all different anyway. So Koto Shelley. So don't worry, we would take our time and go deeper in this. Yeah, everything. Like I showed you, every related services in Azure ends in Power BI.
Yes.
Ends in Power BI.
Be on my run and all those kind of things for you to be able to visualize. And it's a lot. There are a lot to learn.
In fact, in Nigon, we get the source from Microsoft data. Just like remember that adventure work, from SQL Server. Another one they use for synapses. Very heavy. Very heavy. Because I've been looking at it, okay, which one will be better? So I was okay, it's better you go with the one that okay. Organizational related data.
Yes.
For synapses. So we can always sing on time water. They're like a Tom data, some cat data. So and they're quite heavy. So I'm just so happy that you are doing this. You understand?
So with that, what is important is learning how to run the queries, getting used to the queries, and how to
so we spend more time.
Do your
spend more time learning those things.
Query alone go easy.
We go pipeline everything. Another level, yeah, I'm not worried. But the reason why I'm taking my time with this one is that data fundamental exam. Once you do that one, and you can say, oh, in the last 1 month or 2 months that this guy has been taking me, I've been able to pass this. So anyone they have a sheet and the man knows okay. Why? We are already spreading our tentacle around. Which database administrator, we are already spreading our tentacle. Which data engineering, we are spreading our tentacle. Which Power BI, they call it Power BI and data analytics. They are already spreading our tentacle.
In fact, that one, the cocoa for me. Data engineer Power BI, but administration, that one, I won't need it because I don't want to become an administrator. Is one author, DBA is one author. They don't have business with, so the work is not the same. It's not as if you that you are doing DBA, not the one making.
Yeah, I know.
Not the same. So I won't. If there's a lot to learn on engineering and
there's a lot to learn.
I'd rather face on it.
Don't worry. So for that data engineering, more analysis, more Power BI. But your database, I'm just talking. But there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to learn. But it's just that the advantage for being a database administrator, I can always find a way around issues around cost. So you understand? Issue around cost.
For you. But in a location like this, as a data analyst, you have no business with that one. Your one is for you.
Oh, yeah, of course, you don't. Even data engineering, data you don't have. But being that because the man like okay, how about you
might want to know how it works, how to do this. So you understand. What the truth is.
Because it helps me too for my own training. All of that.
It depends on the purpose. You, for example, maybe because you want to, be teaching people, you need to have an understanding of it so you know what you're teaching. So anyone that wants to learn anyone, for someone like me, don't have plans for that. I just want to use it to work.
No, of course.
Our objective differs.
Yes, of course. Your class is tailor-made.
Yes.
Your class is tailor. I know. Chemaduru and what you saw no phone because of your class. I told them I don't. There's one thing that I like. I said when we say class is 9, I said those people they're always there 9. When we say class is 10, they're always there. So I've never seen most people I train here in Nigeria, you'll be the one running after them. You'll be running after them. Time is. I mean, I said even the other people I'm training now in the UK. When I say time, Tawa agrees 9 o'clock. 9 they are there. Around 10 they are there. I would rather stick with one person that is.
But easy concept to be awake to want to do this. It's not easy. But
No, of course.
You need to just sacrifice to learn what.
Yes, you just sacrifice. Sacrifice. The master of majority about 8 people. I have scheduled an exam for them. All the 8 people, they've shifted their exam. They said they cannot write. They shifted their exam. And he go for me joy like that, spending hours and hours.
But in exam here, your money center to machine.
No, you can do it from home.
Yeah.
You do it right there where you are. You just schedule from home. You will share your screen. I'll show you what to do. You understand? So if you are picking a center that is very close to you, like 1 or 2 miles away from you, or you pick
you have to go and do it in the center, the exam itself.
No, I want exam. You can write it from home.
Oh, okay.
You can write from home. There's an option of writing from home.
Okay.
You understand? So I know because where you are, it is easier but for us here in Nigeria, writing from home is not a palatable experience for us. So we rather go to the center. We rather go to a test center and go and write. And there's a arms of my company too that are writing those exams. They are to trainings and so just go there and write.
Okay. Well, let's continue. Let's gain more before I close learning. What time are we closing today?
Yeah, I'm looking at 12.
Okay, Nigerian time. I've been no while. So let's continue.
All right. Look at the other type of databases, which is the MySQL, Postgre, and Maria database. The benefit there could be fully managed community database, built in high availability for lowest cost. Total cost offering, intelligence, performance, and scale. So you can also scale. So here it's easier for you to scale. That is to increase, increase the number of instances, of course, with performances. So instead of saying, we need to get more 10 laptops, 10 servers. What you need to do, just increase. You just go to your machine and you increase the instances, you increase the sizes, and your work is on go. Okay, so basically, Azure build upon the core benefit of Postgre and open source. So it's still the same thing. Number one, you can scale out. You can scale in. So Azure for Postgre is fully managed. Community Postgre. Fully managed means that you don't need to deploy Postgre server. All you need to do just to sign up, create it. You understand? So these are other things that is offering. Compliance, intelligent performance is secured. Global reach. Of course, that's one thing about Postgre. Postgre will create what we call a unique URL. It will create a unique URL, okay, for the server. Extension support, easy ecosystem. Extension support means that other programs can work with it through APIs, So now look at what Postgre can do. You can use JSON files. Extension is supported with extension. Extension means that other programs can work with it through what we call an API calls. Okay, so it's rich in text, rich indexing. Then you can do what we call a full text search, you know. And one thing about Postgre is that Postgre can work as one of those semi-structured database. That's why it's easier to also do a full test search. Okay. Now the benefit of Azure database in Postgre. Okay, it's still the same thing. A single server will give you all of this. But why you do hyperscale means you are increasing it out. So there you have what we call high performance scale out with hyperscale. So they are just still the same thing that they are talking about. Okay, so lesson 2. Okay, so we explore provisioning and deploying relational database offering. Okay, so how do we deploy it? We provision relational database, you configure it, and then explore the basic connectivity. Okay. So this diagram is just showing us how a user will go to Azure and then try and deploy a particular service for use. Okay. So when you want to configure a particular service, there are stages. The first stage is the network, the basics. Of course, you remember when we were deploying our VMs, then the networking, then additional setting, tags, then you review and create. So under the basics, you look at your subscription. Of course, you must have a subscription before you can deploy anything. Then you look at your resource group, you must create a resource group. Then you now look at your managed instance. Is it a managed instance or something that is a VM instance? Then you create a server name, create a database name, you put your admin login, you put your password, you check your region, you opt in for push. Are you trying to create an SQL Server push or just one single SQL Server? Then you pick your computer storage. So from there, you move to your networking. Now, why is this one so important is that you want to be sure that, oh, do I want my server to be communicating within my network? You know, so where this place is your VNet. Okay, so if this is your virtual network, you are trying to create your SQL. Do you want, okay, these are your VMs. These are your VMs. So there's another VM here, which is outside your network. So how do you want them to communicate? They can communicate like this. Okay? They can communicate like this. Do you also want this one to communicate directly to it? Yeah. That is what they are asking. Because this one is outside, it's outside your network. It's outside your network. Or you want it to communicate through what we call, you can have what we call a virtual appliance. So here communication will go like this. So that I can cancel out this communication. So do we want communication to go like this? Or we want communication to go like this? So it has to pass through this virtual appliance. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So that means this is your SQL Server. Your SQL Server. So your SQL Server is always at the back. You know, always call it back end. So this will be a subnet. The subnet will be at the back. There will be, this is another subnet again. So you have what we call your virtual appliance. So it's your virtual appliance that will stand in the middle and then be communicating traffic between your, let's say, your VM within this network or another VM outside the network. So now, anything coming outside now, we have to go through the internet. So, and that's another conversation, another day. But what I just drew here now is telling us that, okay, do we want public communication or more private communication? Okay, so if we are putting public communication, so it means we need to set up what we call a firewall. Okay, and then what type of connections are we looking at? So then we now come to our additional settings. So we look at data source. Now that data source can be some predefined data source from Microsoft, maybe for learning, for training, and all that. Or you pick the data source from your own as an organization. Then you look at server collation, database collation, time zone, opt-in. Then you review and create. Can you see what I was trying to draw? See what I was trying to draw. Okay, now you have, this is called pool now. To change it. This is a pool now. So if you look at these dash lines, this dash, or dash, that's the virtual network. That's the virtual network. So everything inside this network now, you know, yeah. So remember I said something about subnet, like you're breaking your network into two. These are your subnets. So subnet 1, this can be subnet 1. Then this one too, subnet 2. Subnet 2. Okay. Now see those virtual appliances I was telling you about. So one of them is called gateway. So we call this gateway. So gateway will have an IP. So now look at this SQL. Look at this machine. So my SQL does database.net, control. Okay. So now, anybody that wants to connect to this from the internet, what it will happen is that this machine will want to query what is there. So the Bible diagram, you can see that this SQL Server can enter straight into subnet 1. Cherry. only access láti wọ subnet 1 straight and talk to all of this database to one place. And this database can just be maybe your web server, your web database. You understand? Public related database that will not, if stolen or if taken, cannot cost you any harm. But any database that is here in subnet 2, you can see some extra redirect find database. Tó bá kọ́kọ́ wá báyìí. You know, this gateway, redirect ẹ padà. Àwa lọ gba proxy. So it is our change IP address in order to communicate to backend. So all this gateway, this GW means gateway. They are your virtual appliances. Sir?
I can hear you.
So this all the GW, they mean gateway. So they will be the one to filter. They will filter all the traffic coming. Why? Because of course they can allow this traffic to go in there. Because okay, whatever that is in there, it can be your web server, whatever that is public that people can have access to. But anything that is at the back end, it has to go through this your gateway. Okay. So to access them, this is how you access. Of course, this is the IP address. This is the port number. Remember, I've said something about this before. So if you open your SQL Server and you deploy an SQL VM, this is what you get. So you use the SQL VM. If your server is inside your VM, this is how you connect to it. That's just the idea. Okay. So now we want to deploy the network security aspects. Bruce, can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you now. You went silent for a while.
That's why I asked, because it gave me a sign. Let me check my network. Okay, so let me try and explain this diagram again, sir, so that kò ní dàrú. Okay. Now, let's start from here. On-prem. On-prem means, there's a company that has their own SQL database.
Okay.
Yeah. So they have everything in their building. Now, this time around, they now have what we call Azure offering. So, see what they have deployed. Azure VM, SQL Azure VM, SQL Azure VM, SQL Azure VM. Okay. Now, remember these signs. What do I call them the other time? This broken line. I remember. Hello, sir.
Yeah, I can hear you.
So can you remember what I call these broken lines the other side?
Isn't that what is it called?
Let me go back so I can see. What do I call it?
Okay, virtual VM.
A virtual network. So which means if you look at this diagram very well, so there is a virtual network here. So let's pick it from that. So the name of this virtual network is this one here. SQL DB VNet is US.
SQL database virtual network
is US. Good. So another virtual network is here. So the name of the virtual network is VM virtual network East US. Then there's another one, VM virtual network West US. Of course, the West and the East means the region where they are deployed. So because they are in different virtual network, MRP IP one, they are private IP.
So is it that you can deploy VN in more than one location?
Sir, you can deploy anywhere. You can deploy in any different locations, different resources, different subscriptions. You can deploy anywhere. But in order to actually make your work easier, that's why we need what we call Azure Cloud Architect. So because I'm also a cloud architect, that's why I have the understanding of how this thing works, basically in Azure. So, but when people deploy anywhere, they always have problems. I get, because they usually don't know how the environment looks like. They just, so any example later. So that's why I want you to just follow the way I'm trying to analyze and separate each lines to each other. But first of all, just assume that the parent design is that everybody must be in a network. So now there are 3 networks. The first network is the East US, named SQL DB. The network is another East US, named VM network. Another one is in West US, named VM network. Okay. Now, inside each network, an SQL VM has been deployed. Ìdí tẹ́ fi máa mọ̀ pé different network ni wọ́n rí pé the same number ló ń lò. See 10.0.0.3 10.0.0.0.2. tó bá yẹ pé the same network ni ṣe rí second number yìí bí báyìí. Yeah, from 0 máa ti change sí 1, 2 or 3. Ṣe you understand? Tó bá pé they are in the same virtual network, but this shows that they are in different values. So it starts from the beginning, so to say. So it's because ẹni tó deploy kìíní yìí sìn orí ẹ̀ pé òun ló ṣe assume pé okay, let's give this one 0.1, let's give this one 0.2, let's give this one 0.3. But sir, I can tell you, in as much as they are in different network, all of them can bear the same IP, which is 10.0.0.1. 10.0, really not could get 10.0.0.1. Killing not get 10.0.0.1. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
It can be because ilé olúkálùkù yàtọ̀. So olúkálùkù gbọ́dọ̀ ní first born. Wọ́n dẹ̀ gbọ́dọ̀ ní last born. You understand what I mean? So you cannot say because there's a first born in house A, so house B must not have first born. They must have a second born. No. But because of the unique environment, what this person is trying to do. Why? Because tẹ́lẹ̀ bá jẹ́ 0.1, tẹ́lẹ̀ jẹ́ 0.1, tẹ́lẹ̀ jẹ́ 0.1. There's what we call VNet pairing. Sharing or not possible. One pair network here at network together, there will be problem at the point of pairing. As for pé kò lè sí communication because this VNet network, this IP is seeing the same IP at the same. Understand? So makes sense to see. Let's get scope here.
Yeah.
I was just trying to explain to you why it is, because if not, if you have a little knowledge about IP, it will convince you. You're like, but I'm seeing 0.1, 0.3, 0.2. Why is it like that? Do you understand? But I'm saying because they are in different network. Kò sí nǹkan tó ní kó má bẹ̀rẹ̀ pẹ̀lú 0.1, 0.1, 0.1. But for the purpose of this study, in order not to make it cumbersome, we want to change the IP. So which means at the point of deploying your VM, you can change the IP to anything you want within that range. Okay. All right. So now let's stick to this first network. So now as you deploy Azure VM, see by 0.2 by default. Now, cannot consider by private endpoint. Do you know what a private endpoint is?
No.
Okay. An endpoint is a device, so to say. So I can also communicate with another device. Or it's like a user of a particular, do you understand? So an endpoint can be another VM here, or another web server, or like a phone. Do you get? So because that device must reside inside, of course, like you now know that this particular device, whatever this device is also within this network, because it has its own IP as 0.5, true of course. Do you get? So well, let us assume it's another VM in order to save ourselves. So now this VM is here, this VM is here. Now inside this virtual network, there is a virtual gateway. Can you see? So because there's a virtual gateway, nothing goes out. Nothing should go out without this gateway. So which means that this endpoint can communicate with this. You know, they are in the same network. Okay. Now, there's another database at the back. So perhaps this database is the one from on-prem. Shall you follow me?
Yeah.
From on-prem. So this is the address. My SQL database.private link, Shetiri, is one coming from. That's what the private link will not need the same. So if you look at it, because it's coming from on-prem, they have cancelled out any access to the internet. You can see. Now, because it's from the on-prem, this private endpoint can communicate directly to it. This Azure VM can communicate directly to it. Abi?
Yeah.
Okay. Even this network here has a way of communicating to it. This VM here in another network has a way of communicating to it. How? Because of your virtual network, virtual parent. So this network is paired with this network. Paired means that anything inside this network can communicate directly to anything inside this network. This one too, they're also paired because one, their gateway this thing are communicating to each other. But remember, this one cannot communicate to this one. See, they are not paired.
Yes.
So virtual network to virtual network. Now, another way, see, if you communicate directly to data center, we know how by. So remember the other time I said something about mo ti sọ̀rọ̀ yẹn lẹ́ẹ̀kan yìí wọ́n yẹ máa rántí nígbà tí mo show yín ní Active Directory àti users àti device. Do you remember? I mentioned this thing. It's called point to site. If you remember. So mo ṣàlàyé point to site fún yín lẹ́ẹ̀kan yẹn as per a particular device connected to a particular, let's say, data center or a particular site.
Yes.
So to make sure that this is happening, a virtual gateway must occur. Ṣé notice pé another way tí network yìí fi communicate network yìí is through virtual peering. Ṣé notice ẹ kọ́kọ́ síbẹ̀ peering. But àwọn eléyìí wọn peer wọn. They are communicating. Virtual network is to virtual network. Understand the word to means to.
Okay.
Virtual network to virtual network. Why? These gateway are communicating to each other. They are not paired together. So which means that gateway nìkan ló máa bára wọn sọ̀rọ̀ sá. Get close to me, sir.
Okay.
Gateway. And I don't know if I've explained the concept of gateway to you, sir. Your gateway is like, let's say, technically like the gate man of a particular compound. So you now give it the ability to be the one to carry out anything going out of that compound to outside world. So nobody goes out without passing through the gateway.
So it's the one that gives you like access to the outside room.
Exactly, to the outside world. So which means that all this communication now that they should also go through the gateway here. But what they are trying to explain here is that line it on explain here this gateway to gateway communication is called virtual network to virtual network, not peering.
Not what?
Not peering, sir. Not peering.
Okay.
Peering lele to ṣẹlẹ̀ ní báyìí. Àwọn virtual network eléyìí wọ́n peer wọn together. Ọ̀nà yìí comparing is virtual. But àwọn eléyìí gateway àti gateway. So by the virtue of that, point to site can happen, which is your endpoint. Then site to site can happen. This S2S is site to site, which means your VPN can also happen. Your VPN means that creating a virtual private network from the on-premises into Azure, so that all the devices can have a secure tunnel to communicate to. Are you getting the idea, sir?
Yes.
Then another way, but this one is very expensive. It's called express route. Your express route is like your VPN. But meanwhile, your express route is more of physical components, whereby some big companies like, let's say, Oracle, all the big companies, Azure will now build it for them. And when Azure will build it for them, will build express amount. So it's like be information from their data center directly through the internet to that site. Do you understand? So they are basically your private link. They are basically your private link. Say, do you have any question from me so that if you go down,
I'm going to digest this thing and probably ask you in our next class.
No problem, sir.
I think that'll be the best thing.
No problem.
Because I would like you to explain practically. We are just using so what kind of database, for example, what kind of information we want to get that will require all this gateway, or that will require this VM to connect to another VM. You understand? I want like a practical example.
No problem, sir.
To see how it works.
No problem.
Can use Jumia as an example too. okay,
No
what kind of information do you want to get that you require, and why do you have to have more than one VM in different locations? Is there any advantage of having it, that than one? This example illustrates you having up to 3 VM like with different names.
Yes.
On print. So why do you have to do that? And what practical example can we use? That's the way one will be able to relate with it very
No problem,
well.
sir. No problem, sir. No problem. No problem. So okay, so let's just move on. So authentication and access control. Okay, so mixed mode authentication for SQL authentication for deployment, server admin, need Windows authentication, Azure managed instance. So this is basically the admin part for authentication. For access. So the only one to work okay, SQL login, where you just put your username and password. Okay. So every other ones are not really, they are more of administrator work.
But management studio, SQL management studio is free and Abi.
It's free.
It's free. Yeah. Okay.
It's free. You can even connect it directly to your Azure and do your code.
Okay, that's what I want to know.
No, it's free. It's free.
You can now bring in any database you want to bring in.
Exactly.
And be manipulating, be doing your this thing. Download Power BI desktop to then try and do whatever you want to, because that's probably what I think I have.
No problem. No problem. Okay, so Azure role-based access control. Okay, basically in everything that I was telling you about, Azure can micromanage any services for you. So your RBAC simply means that, I'm giving you this level of access to my server, and these are the things I want you to do there. Simple. So all this grammar. So, well, one of the things you can give people based on SQL Server is that you can say, number one, be an SQL Server contributor. Number two, manage instance contributor. Number three,
you have to learn how to give the access now.
Yes. For example, now let me show you. So, for example, now if let's say this is a particular SQL VM, of course it's not, but I just give you an example. So you can come here. I've shown you before. Access control. So this is still more of what's it? How will I call it now? More of administrators. So here you can assign a role. Okay. So you now ask, so what sort of role do I want you to be? Do I want to be a owner, contributor? Contributor means that you have access to virtually everything. But here they are talking about SQL. Okay, this is not SQL. This is your 9 VM, so it might not be there. You understand?
These are the different rules you can assign.
On a particular machine now, you can say, I just want you to be a virtual machine user login. What this person can do is just, I want you to be a username contributor. The only thing this person can do on this platform is to work only on this virtual machine. He cannot do anything. Can't do anything. You understand? I just want you to be a reader. Reader means that you cannot.
You'll be seeing.
You're just seeing. So, you understand? So they are part of. They are part of. How will I call it now? They are part of security measures. So here they become SQL database contributor or or manage instance contributor or security manager or SQL Server contributor. Okay. So what's a replica? Rich replica improve performance and scale of read-intensive workloads such as BI as I consider the rich replica feature in scenarios where delay is sync data between the master and the application accepted. Create a replica in a different Azure region of the master or disaster recovery plan where a replica replaces the master. So this is more of an admin work. So it's just creating what we call creating what we call backups and recovery. You know, backup and recovery. So just a way of creating backup so that your data are syncing together. Okay, with that, we come to the end of the class. So we start from here. We need to explore relational database.
All right. Before we start, you just let me use practical example for the one I said.
No problem, sir. No problem. Thank you, sir. All right. So there's a link I will send to you, and I want you to join so that you can get your voucher for the exam.
Okay.
I'll send it to you. So that you just all you need to do is just join the class.
Oh, okay.
You don't need to listen. You don't need to spend. Just join, because when you join, they can send you the what is it called? Send you the voucher so that I can now schedule your exam. I can't check so know that this is how far you've learned this.
All right.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Continue tomorrow.
Yes, sir. By the grace of God.
Wonderful night, sir. All
Thank you, sir. Yes. So let me save the record.
All right. The one you sent, I'm not sure I was able to link and access it the other time, but I will try again.
No problem. All the recordings are saved. Anytime, just download and send to you.
All right, no problem. Thanks.
All right, sir.
Yeah, good night.
Good night, sir.